fellow Movie Crusaders, and welcome to our latest episode. My name's Sean Wasserkrug, and today we're going to be reviewing one of my more anticipated films of the year, The Lost City. Now, this is a movie that became an anticipated film of mine for 2022 because of the initial trailer that came out. Brian and I were talking last week on our actor-director showcase where we were talking about Sandra Bullock, that I really missed Sandra Bullock in the comedic roles. That she, hasn't really done one of these comedic ones here in a little while, and I really love that aspect of Sandra Bullock's acting. And I also love when Channing Tatum makes fun of himself, or kind of plays more of like the dumber character who ends up kind of becoming a hero. And both of those are kind of what steers right into what The Lost City is, or at least that's what the trailer portrays. So, and plus Daniel Radcliffe playing a bad guy. We've never seen that before. So that was a couple things that I was actually really, really excited to see. So the initial trailer definitely got me excited to see this film and made it one of my more anticipated films of the year. Going into the actual film, the plot, anyway, is a reclusive romance novelist on a book tour with her cover model gets swept up in a kidnapping attempt that lands them both in a cutthroat jungle adventure. If this sounds somewhat remotely close to Romancing the Stone, it basically is kind of like that to a point. Like I said, you got Sandra Bullock, you got Channing Tatum, you got Daniel Radcliffe. Anyone who's seen the trailer, Brad Pitt's got a small part in the film as Jack Trainer. Those are basically the main cast. I mean, you got some other actors and actresses in the film as well. Also, Divine Joy Randolph plays Beth Hatton, who's Sandra Bullock's publicist in the film. The main things that got me more excited about the film, like I said, would be Channing Tatum and Sandra Bullock. I really enjoy both these performers. I think they're both a lot of fun, especially when they are in their comedies together. And like I said, I wanted to see Radcliffe as a villain. And then the one small part we did see of Brad Pitt in the trailer looked hilarious. And Brad Pitt is great at comedy. Going into the actual film itself, there's a lot to be desired about The Lost City. And sadly, there's a lot that's kind of left on the table. There's so much there in this that could have been good. But the script and the dialogue ultimately fails this movie. I will say two positives about this film. One is Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt's cameo in this film is hands down the best part of this movie. He's actually in it more than I expected him to be. He's still not in a whole lot of it, but when Brad Pitt's on screen, it is the best part of the film. It's fun, it's exciting, it's hilarious. And he actually works great with Channing Tatum in the parts that we get to see him in. Daniel Radcliffe, who plays Abigail Fairfax, he's the villain of the story. I actually think Radcliffe did a solid job as the villain in the film. I wish they would have kind of given him a little more to do, but what he does do in the time given to him, I think Radcliffe actually played a very, very solid villain, to the point where I would actually really enjoy seeing Radcliffe as another villain in another film down the road. It was definitely something that, and Brian and I mentioned this on one of our shows last year, I love what Radcliffe is doing as an actor. And same thing kind of goes for Pattinson with Batman and his other roles, is that he's not staying in this lane after Harry Potter. He's going out there and he's just taking these random roles that you would not expect to see Harry Potter in. And Radcliffe's going out there and he's doing great jobs with them. I mean, there's so many movies that you just see Daniel Radcliffe and like, well, that's something I would never see Daniel Radcliffe do. And then he goes and he does it. And this is one of those times where it's like, I would never have seen Daniel Radcliffe as a villain. And even then, I mean, this villain he's a villain, but he's not like a, mustache twirling villain by any means. But I think it's a nice kind of starter villain for Daniel Radcliffe, where it's like, he's bad, but he's not like overtly evil. But I think this is a good build up to him going down that path of being a very evil villain down the road. And I think this was a good stepping stone for him towards that kind of character. Honestly, where this movie really does kind of fail is with the two leads, and Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum. I don't necessarily blame them for the most part of this. A lot of it, like I said, goes to the script. The first 20 minutes of this film is not good. It's all over the place. It's not enjoyable, and you're just kind of twiddling your thumbs, waiting for the movie to kind of get itself going. Granted, the first 20 minutes is really trying to set the tone and set the stage for the movie that we're about to get into, but it's kind of like I've seen this before with these with these actors, and it just was not an enjoyable film. There's also a cringe-worthy character played by Patty Harrison who plays Allison. She's like the social media Mongol or social media person for Sandra Bullock's character Loretta. Every line of dialogue from her is cringy. It's bad, and it's delivered bad, and the dialogue is very, very, very bad for her. And I get that it's supposed to be cringy for the joke, but this is not The Office or Parks and Rec. Cringe comedy can be done incredibly well. This is not that kind of film. And Patty Harrison's performance, I don't want to necessarily blame her. I haven't really seen her in many things. I know she's more of a writer than she's an actress, but I don't blame her. I blame the script and the lines of dialogue that she had to read. Sandra Bullock's Loretta character, if you've seen one Sandra Bullock comedy film, you've seen this film. She has this underlying story about her character that's supposed to add some kind of layers to her, or kind of add this I don't want to say it because in terms of spoilers, but it's supposed to add this extra element to the Loretta character. But it really just kind of comes up to the generic Sandra Bullock role, where she kind of sticks her nose up at people because she thinks she's smarter than everyone. She doesn't want to interact with people, kind of like an introvert. And then she eventually kind of, halfway through the film, embraces the moment that she's in and kind of comes out of her shell and becomes the Sandra Bullock that we all really enjoy watching. Problem is that we've seen this Sandra Bullock performance many, many times before in way better films and way better scripted films. It's not that Sandra Bullock is bad in the movie by any means. It's literally the script, and it just feels like the same old Sandra Bullock character that we've seen many times before, and I really wish we could have gotten a little bit more, a little bit different out of her. Now, like I said, sometimes that works. Ryan Reynolds tends to do the same shtick in every movie, and for more times than not, it works. And with Sandra Bullock, most times it works. But for some reason in this film, her performance in this just didn't really match the energy that I think everyone going in this movie is really going to want. Channing Tatum, who plays Alan, or Dash, is the novelist character that he's portraying in the film, or at least in the book series that she writes. Channing Tatum, like I said, his bread and butter with his comedies, we've seen it in 21 Jump Street and other comedies, is when he kind of plays not necessarily dumb, but definitely not up to the intellect level of the people around him, in this case, Sandra Bullock's character. And Channing Tatum, he knows his lane, he's really good at it, and Channing Tatum's good at that in this film as well. The thing is, though, is that eventually, Tatum needs to kind of take over as, like, the hero role in the film, and he does to a slight point, but he never actually really takes that hero role. He kind of just plays the sidekick throughout most of the movie. When he does have this one moment where he actually does try to be the hero, it's actually really well done, but then he kind of slinks back into the sidekick role to Sandra Bullock's character. The other problem is there's literally no chemistry between Channing Tatum and Sandra Bullock in this film. It feels very forced. There's moments where they try to build the chemistry, or there's this moment in the beginning, first 20 minutes, where they're really trying to build that Alan may have a thing for Loretta, but never in this film does it ever feel that Loretta feels the same way, outside of a scene where she gets to see him, shirtless, which is in the trailers. That maybe just because she finds him more attractive now, that's why she likes him, and not more or less because the characters are growing as the film goes on. So when we get to the inevitable, parts of the film where they start to get closer and closer together, it just doesn't feel believable overall. Divine Joy Randolph as Beth Hatton, she's not awful in the movie, but she's just also not funny in the film. And she's supposed to be like this comedic relief of this publicist who's trying to help save Loretta after she's been kidnapped by Abigail Fairfax. And her character really doesn't have much purpose. Now, granted, if you can argue that, because her character does this, it leads to this, this, and this, but you could have gone about it differently and not had her character be involved. No, nothing against her. It's just, once again, the script fails to really give her enough for you to really care about her character overall. The action sequences, there's like two scenes of action really in this movie. I think they actually work really well. Could have used another scene or two of some action. Like I said, if they had really pushed the envelope with Channing Tatum's character, which they don't, I think that really could have helped out with the film overall. But ultimately, like I said, the jokes don't really land that well. The funniest moments in the movie are with Brad Pitt and the inevitable scene that we've seen in the trailers with the leeches on Channing Tatum's body. Those are the two funniest moments of this movie, which they've given away in the trailers. There's a few little more moments with Brad Pitt's character, but besides that, this movie really lacks any kind of comedic value, and you kind of know you're in for kind of trouble with the script of comedic value when every actual joke is a trail off end of line going into the next scene, which gives you no time to really laugh at the joke because it's transitioning to the next moment. They don't really do the jokes in the middle of said scene. It's always as the camera's panning away and you hear a last second quibble, and that's supposed to be the joke. And to me, that just kind of seems like this scene wasn't really working for comedy value. Let's drop something at the very end of the scene to kind of build up to the next one, and then it starts all over again. Like I said, the film itself, I think most people who aren't paying attention to this kind of stuff, they'll probably find The Lost City as a fine film. It's not something that's going to blow anyone away. It's not someone who people are going to go, I cannot wait to see a sequel of these characters like Romancing the Stone did back in the 80s. It's a average at best film. With this cast, this movie deserves a better film that these casts are in. I think the script should have been written a little bit better. There are moments there where you can see the film has a chance to be really good or even passable as an overall film with these characters, but it just kind of just middles around until we inevitably get to the end of the film. There are just certain character moments or certain situations that happen in the film that easily could have been avoided or could have gone about a different way, and it would have been easier for the characters to do. There could have been moments where the two lead, Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum, could have taken the upper hand on the bad guys in the film, and they didn't do it. It's just a lot of moments where you, as a watcher, is going, just do this, and it'll be fine. Which, I mean, that happens in a lot of movies, but this movie, it's very like on the nose about that. Overall, Lost City was something I was really, really excited for, and ultimately disappointed me in the long run. The movie, like I said, it's fine. It's average at best, but for me, it's not something that I would ever go back and rewatch. The average viewer probably is going to enjoy the movie for the most part because you like Sandra Bullock, Channing Tatum, and Daniel Radcliffe. But for people really trying to find something that is kind of a 2022 version of Romancing the Stone, go back and rewatch Romancing the Stone. You're going to enjoy that one a lot better. Going to my overall score, I'm going to give The Lost City a 54%. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you guys did, go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe button to the channel so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos that pop up on the Movie Crusaders. And of course, I'm going to follow us on all the social media outlets you see below. Coming up next, we have our Movie Crusaders Oscar show where Brian, Michaels, and myself will be going over our projections for the Oscars that happen on Sunday night, who we think will and should win the top like 8 to 9 awards. We're also going to give who we thought should have been nominated for said awards. It's kind of just something fun Brian and I is doing before Oscar night happens. We also have our Movie Crusaders award show that we shot about a couple weeks back where we gave awards out to different genres and fun award categories. So feel free to check that out, as well as last week's actor, actress, director showcase where we talked about Sandra Bullock, Bruce Willis, and Edgar Wright. In terms of movies coming out, Lost City is the only movie I think coming out this week. Next week, we've got Morbius and The Bubble on Netflix. So there probably will be 2 reviews for that, as well as whatever show Brian and I are going to come up with for the April slate, which we have not figured out yet. But we hope you guys stay tuned and check out all those videos. And until next time, in case I don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Movie Crusaders.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.